Good evening, folks, on a day or night in Longford. Welcome to the show that has 7 more podcasts than the Dundalk have points. We run out of words to describe some of these games, but I think tonight, diabolical probably sums it up more than most. Joining me tonight, probably reluctantly, is our producer for the night, Donal I Need a Whiskey Hanks, who will be replaces Chris Clark, who unfortunately had to find more work when he was doing surplus to requirements at Oriel Park. Donal, pour that whiskey. Send me one through email.
I'll send you a virtual one.
What do we think?
Yeah. What do you say? That was, I guess, just when you think it can't get worse, the next game comes along and it's worse.
Stephen Maher called it a couple of weeks ago. He said here a couple of weeks ago on a podcast that we had him on, and he said they've been really unlucky all season, Longford, and they were due to beat someone at some stage. That's our first win since the opening game of the season, and of course it's against us. But he did say that they've been close to beating teams, and I think tonight it was maybe a culmination of just pure frustration from Longford. They weren't giving the Dundalk a minute, and unfortunately we've just come unstuck. It's not unfortunate. It's our own doing. It's probably not unfortunate. There's only so many times we can say that. But Stephen Maher did call it here a couple of weeks ago. I'd love to have him on the podcast tonight. But there's just, I don't know. It's cliche to say passion, but there's just nothing from these boys at the minute, is there?
No. And like going through the game, it's like the goal. The goal comes from a free kick and extremely bad piece of goalkeeping. And the worst thing is, it shouldn't have even gotten to that stage. That shouldn't have been the deciding moment of the match. Dundalk should have been 2 or 3 up beforehand. Extremely poor finishing. And there was about 15, 20 minutes when they looked like they were up for it, like it looked like they might win. And then you're just watching it going like, yeah, I'm for getting back into this. And the horrible thing then is, like, it's not even a surprise when they go ahead, and then it's not a surprise that we don't get back into it. It's not a surprise that when Longford are down to 10 men, we make absolutely no use of it. It's not a surprise when they're down to 9 men and we made absolutely no use of it. It was just absolutely brutal. I
think it's gotten that. What's the word? It's just gotten that monotonous now. We don't actually know what to say. It's like what we said before the show. Like Dan McDonald was on a couple of weeks ago, and he did say that even if they go to relegation playoff, we'll probably win it. I don't know if we will. Like, I mean, there's nothing. I mean, it's just so lackluster. It's so, like, if there was no playoff, we'd probably just have to get relegated. Like, it's only Longford keeping us up. That is mental.
I had to look at the table after to see how many points ahead of Longford we are.
Yeah,
because it's like, is it impossible for them to catch us? Because it's like, holy shit! I think the other thing too is that the loss tonight means we've lost against everybody. Every team in the league we've lost against. So that takes the whole thing of, like, whatever happened tonight, the manager can say we were unlucky in the second half that we didn't score. And we were unlucky that we didn't score because how Andy Boyle's shot from their free kick hits the post.
Even when the ball came out, I still thought it went in. It was one of them that it looked so obvious that it was going in. It was just... to create... It's not that we deserve better. You know, you've 11 corners. You've 30 minutes of football with 10 men against the team that's bottom of the league. Now, I know that's easy to say because we're second bottom. You know, like, it's not that much of a gap, but it's still Longford. You know, and it's just it's beyond deflating now. Like, I mean, I think I predicted it 2-0. What was I thinking? Like, what? Like, what was going through my brain last week? I don't know what I was on your whiskey or what the story was, but it's just look, I know, look, we've a few injuries, but even at that, young Hanratty comes on, does all right. But I mean, God, like, I don't know how to describe them anymore. We're in danger of just repeating ourselves week in, week out with the same words, the same description. Like to play even with 9 men, I know it's only a few minutes, but 9 men, you know, like you've literally got 2 extra players for about 7 minutes and you can't produce anything. It's just mental. It's just, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. There's, I had a conversation with someone the other day about the goalkeeper, and about, like he was like adamant that BB should be dropped and the new keeper should be brought in. And I said, "Oh, would you not be a little bit concerned that he's only played like 2 games in 3 years or something, like competitive games, like, or whatever games?" And he'd be like, "No, but like you don't know why he's not in the team. He might not have gotten in the team because the manager didn't like him." And I was like, you don't know why he didn't get in the team either. He might not have gotten in the team because he made stupid fucking mistakes like that. Yeah. And I want to give the kid the benefit of the doubt. Like, he's had 2 games now and made 1 awful mistake. But the problem is the committee, whatever this process is of signing players, that has taken the benefit of doubt away from him, because he's a symptom. That mistake is a symptom of everything that's gone wrong.
Yeah.
Not having a dependable goalkeeper was always going to be a problem. Not having replacements for players. Look, I'm going to just start on a massive rant that I did the last time I was on here and had the whiskey with me. Like, there's just no way around it. It's an absolute fucking mess. It's just a fucking mess.
And when this score, when O'Driscoll's head went, I kind of thought, okay, maybe we're being harsh on the keeper. Maybe the ball's coming really, it's been zipped in, it's clipped it, but it's clipped the header, but it's almost gone into the middle of the goals. You know, like from a free kick, it's just unforgivable. I know it's gone under his body, but if he stuck a leg at it, it goes out for a corner. You know, like it's almost down, right down his throat, and it's just, and like you say, it's a symptom of you attract your own luck. I mean, if it's like, you know, most players would send out positive vibes. We're just attracting bullshit week in, week out, and it's going to get on top of us eventually, and it has gone on top of us. And it's, look, there's Colin Casey. You could definitely make a comeback. Absolutely, not a problem. There's no way you spill that. Not a chance. And like, I seen somebody on Twitter, just when we're talking about just, you know, passion and being proud of the jersey and stuff. I think somebody made a comment on Twitter earlier on that nobody went to the goalkeeper at half time. This goal just went in before half time. Nobody came over to say, look, you know, we'd be grand. Second half, we're going to get at them. Don't panic. Walking off at half time, nobody would near them. And I don't know if everybody's just had enough. It looks like they've just had enough. And like, it's awful to say, like, it's only 2 years ago we're talking, you know, we're winning the league, but I think there's just that, just this bad atmosphere. It's like a dark cloud that's just gone over them, and just everybody's just standing under it. Nobody can get away, and it's, my God, we're just, I don't know what to say. It's a bad night. We keep saying every week, every 3 or 4 weeks we're on here saying it's the worst we've seen. Like, it's just becoming a routine now at this stage.
I think the new wrinkle tonight after that game is there seems to be a lot more negativity towards the manager tonight on Twitter, and absolutely, it's eventually it comes to a point where you have to start asking questions. And I wrote during the week about how it was incredibly hard to judge him on this season. So, like, you look at, he had 1 full season, they won the league, they were within a penalty shootout doing the treble, and then the second season he was gone, and this is the second half of a disaster season. So, like, where are you at on this? Because I was definitely of the opinion that, like, it was the appointment that made sense to me, and it was, obviously there was some people, he wasn't their first choice, whatever, but it was the one I thought that made the most sense at the time. And even now, I'm like, the worry of if they do move on from him, who do they get instead? You know, but like, where are you at now on his tenure.
Yeah, well, I'll stand over what I said. When the lads left, the Tyler's left, and Jim took over, my cap was in my opinion, Vinny would have been the best man, simply because the way the club was set up. So they needed someone to come in and accept the way the club was being run. So that Vinny was the obvious choice for that reason, and the fact that he had experience in the League of Ireland. I know we had Dave Rogers on the show one night, but I'd say if Dave had got that job, I'd say Dave Rogers would have walked away already, because he probably couldn't deal with the way it is behind the scenes. There's not many that stand for it, and I think Vinny at the time was probably the perfect fit for Dundalk, for someone to come in and just accept the way things are. And like Vinny he's not that he probably put himself out there and touted himself for the job, but who else could work on, like, anybody coming in there would just, I'd say, to be gone. I'd say Dave Rogers, if I had to come in there when he was touted for it, I'd say he would have walked away from that job already. And I think Vinny's grow for the club probably keeps him in there and probably slightly keeps him motivated. I don't know. Look, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but at the time he's the perfect fit. Look, the results haven't been great. I don't know if a Rogers or O'Donnell or Higgins or Fenlon or any of these boys could have been done any different whatsoever. But I think at the time he was the right man for the job, in my opinion. That I stand by it. At the minute, like, you couldn't sack him now. I mean, there's literally no point. I mean, let's just see if we at this stage we pick up what we can, and if it's playoffs, it's playoffs. But I think for a fit for the club, Vinny was the right man because he wanted the job. I think what's going on behind the scenes, he's willing to work with that, whereas other managers, I don't think would have. I think we would have been on our third manager of the season, if you count Jim as well, probably fourth. If Dave Rogers had to come in, I think Dave would have just murdered everybody and just walked away from it already.
Yeah, it's like, I was thinking this earlier as well. Like, everybody has to take responsibility for the situation that we're in. It's not like it's only the manager or only the players or only the recruitment. Everybody's responsible for this. And when you get into this situation, people normally say, when it comes to, like, you have to make a decision, people will be like, well, you have to sack the manager because you can't get rid of all of the players. Yeah. And in my mind, I'm like, actually, all these players are out of contract in a few weeks. So if they keep the manager, that's probably like the financially the best thing for them to do. To just be like, oh, well, look, he wants to be here. He's happy with whatever situation that we have going here. So we'll just keep him and we'll let him pick whatever sort of squad for next season. But the idea, like, I just see a conversation happening there in the comments about whether somebody else like Higgins or O'Donnell would have made more sense. Probably would have made more sense. But the idea that we apparently had to hire somebody that cost nothing and wouldn't take a contract longer, or would accept a contract that was only a certain length of time. Or if the purse strings are open and we were able to offer contracts, then you're like, right, well, let's see who we can get. Let's really, throw the net out, see who actually wants this gig. But when we got down to it, it's like we only had a certain number of options to us, and Vinny was one of them, and that's who they picked. And obviously, it doesn't really make any sense to move on from him now, because there's just more turmoil and more upheaval. But we just have to realize that, like, we have to just get out of the playoff. We have to try and get out of the playoff position. And then if we end up in the playoff, we just have to make sure we win and then start again next season. Like, it's just we've got the horrible too good to go down label on us now, but we actually have to prove it. And look,
and to add to your point, maybe that's why there's rumours going around last week of in the papers, 2-year contract, stuff like that. With a blank canvas, like Stephen Kenny came into the door with a blank canvas. Now, I'm not comparing Vinny Perth and Stephen Kenny, but maybe that's what's needed. Vinny's got League of Ireland experience, might be able to sign some players. Hopefully, we're not signing players for the first division. But could anybody have come in and been told, right, we're going to take this job, but you're not getting any players? If anything, you're actually going to lose players. You get Will Patching back, and that's pretty much it. So I really don't know. I don't know what I think these players now are just stuck in a rut. Like no matter what, like if we put 2 goalkeepers in nets, we won't win. Like that. It's we just have that luck at the minute. There's just it. I think they're just stuck in a bad rut, and I think it's probably looking like I can't see us picking up many points, and I think it's probably inevitably going to go to a playoff. I haven't got a first division thing here at the minute, but I look at the chances are on paper, nothing's won on paper. We would win a playoff, but I mean, you just like at this rate, you couldn't. I wouldn't be going in anywhere near bookies with it. It goes back to day one. It goes back to I remember Jim McGilton sitting on an interview on Alan Cawley's. I think it was Alan Cawley's podcast. He was talking to himself and Stewie, and he sat there and he was saying the recruitment was going well. They'd scouted all these players. They brought in players to win leagues. They brought in a really strong team. We won the President's Cup, and everybody I thought to myself, Jesus, Jim's hitting the nail on the head here. But obviously, just longevity's just caught up with them. It hasn't worked, and we can. I don't know what manager comes in and would have fixed that without being said, look, you can get rid of 6 and sign 4. But he couldn't even do that, and that's what we're stuck. So I don't know whether anybody could have come in and done it. Like I say, I think Dave Rogers would have absolutely blew his gasket at this stage. Now, whether or not he would have walked, that's just me exaggerating. But I think, I don't think he could work with what's going on up there. And I just think Vinny at the time was probably the man for the job. But yeah, like Barry there says, it probably is the playoffs. I don't see us picking up. When you're looking at the games coming in, like I just don't see us picking up anything. I really don't.
No, everybody else is a better form than us as well. Everyone else
in life or in football.
Yeah, pretty much everyone on planet Earth has been better form than we are. Yes,
it's just one of them seasons. Look at it. I'd seen. I think it might have been Keith that made a keeper signs. It comes down to recruitment at the end of the day. Like you can have all the money on the planet, but if you buy the wrong players, like Shamrock Rovers done it for years, went and spent balls of money and won nothing, and now it's all coming to fruition. Now they've got their youth system, a couple of boys coming through, but now they've won leagues, qualified for. They've done a bit of a run in Europe, and they're able to sign the likes of a Richie Towell and take them out to run the Marnoses as well.
Who?
Yeah, that float with the hair, and like the likes of we've lost players to the Hogan and things like that. They've signed Mandra, they signed Barry Cotter this week, who was linked with us 2 weeks ago. Like that's the difference. It all comes around full circle eventually, and I think we're just going through that rut where we're just going to have to take it on the chin. It's just going to have it's playoffs probably now or nothing at the minute, and like it's such a sad state of affairs. And we're not being disrespectful to Longford here. Longford earned our win tonight, but Longford are the team that's keeping us up. Like it's just completely unacceptable. Like we can talk about players' wages till the cows come home, but they don't like. That's what they were offered. So why wouldn't you play? Why wouldn't you sign? But you got to perform. Like even you could bring back the team that played under Kenny's first season, are 10 times the team. Now I know that sounds mental because they came second or third in the league, but when you think that he brought in a team of nobodies almost, with John Sullivan playing left or playing right back, people forget players like that played at the club that year, and they're much better than what we have produced now. The 2000 and the John Gill team that got promoted would probably beat that team out tonight. It's just such a poor recruitment drive. And look, there's some cracking players. I do genuinely believe if this team was split tomorrow and sent all around the league, they'd all perform. But as a unit, it just doesn't work. They just don't work together on the pitch. And it's an oversight on someone's behalf, and someone probably needs to come out and hold their hands up and say they got it wrong. But look, we hear nothing out of Oriel Park, so that's not. We might hear a plan going wrong, official partnership. We don't know, but bad final facts.
Gonna need an official hangover tumbler partner.
Whiskey tumbler. Look, it's just there's nothing. We can hammer Vinny Perth all we like, but again, I just don't know. It's behind the scenes. It's where it starts. I just don't know if anybody could have come in and done it. I really don't. Because at the end of the day, players had to leave. Nobody came in. Patchen got a good run. McElhenney's out injured. Duffy comes off the bench tonight. Even looking at we haven't even spoken about performances tonight. That's how bad it's been. We just completely there's literally 0 point. And if anybody hasn't guessed, I don't think we're going to give away a pizza either tonight. Who do you pick? It's just Yeah,
pick
it's so
someone that
tough.
actually went to the game, you know, like we managed to match for someone that
Probably
sat
good,
through
yeah,
the whole thing.
Yeah. But it's dire. It really is crisis point now. It really is.
Yeah. I just saw the list of possible opponents in the playoff, and Treaty were one of them.
Yeah.
And remember, like, the struggle of beating Treaty when
and
we had
Brea were always a bogey team from Dundalk in the year as well.
Like, and Longford are in a position where they're essentially relegated, so they're not far off the quality that would be in the first division, and we've taken 2 points off them in 3 games.
Yeah, and can you imagine, like, Longford conceded 3 or 4 games this year in the 94th, 95th minute. Can you imagine if they picked up points, if they'd won them games or picked up points, how close it would be between the two of us, even just coming down to the bottom of the table? Like, Dundalk, in ways we've been blessed.
Yeah.
But it's just, look, it's just such, I think it's going to have a massive effect on players. It has to.
Yeah. Do you think we should share this misery with somebody else?
Yeah, we might as well.
Yeah. There's Jane there.
The famous Jane McDermott. Jane, how are we?
Hello, everyone.
Are we well? Well, we're probably not well after that.
No, Andrew. Nobody's well. I'll be honest. I only saw the second half, and it was enough.
That was enough, Jane.
Yeah. You know me. I'd always try to be positive and find the brightness, but there's nothing after that. Like, there's just nothing to. There's just
it's
dismal,
one of them that's
dismal. Really dismal.
It's so poor that you find it hard to describe, because it's just so often now it's happening. It's just one of them that we've run out of. I genuinely run out of ways to describe how like these podcasts. We originally set up these podcasts for a bit of crack, and like, you know, it's not like apart from Whiskey Hanks having a drink there, there's like it's just so dire. I say people.
I wouldn't blame you, Donal. I wouldn't blame you.
I can't manage it any other way. Like, that's the only way I can do it.
Jane, just sliding on. Go on, sorry, go.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, it's got to a stage like when I was on with you previously and we spoke, and I was very positive, and people who meet me on the town would say I'm kind of borderline positive delusional now. I'm like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be better. And you just can't say that anymore. And where is it? Where is the issue? What is the problem? You know, we have players there that should be able to play football and are able to play football, because we know they are, and they're not. And I think we now have to question why are they not playing football?
Do you think it's a Do you think it's a mental thing? Do you think they're just on this run of? Do you think they believe that they can get out of it? That's probably the easiest way of putting it.
I don't know. I think their morale is down. I think that's obvious for everyone to see. And I think there's a lot of factors to that. I think, you know, I know we keep bringing it in, but it is a factor with COVID and stuff like that. And I suppose we watch these boys come on for an hour and a half every week, but we don't know what's going on, I suppose, in their lives as well. I'm not excusing it, but I suppose we have to take that into a factor as well. I thought when Finney came back initially, it seemed to be picking up a little bit.
Yeah.
It just seems to have gone back again, and I don't know. And it's frustrating, because you know there's better. If I thought I was watching 11 footballers and that was what they were, that was their standard, I'd say, okay, that's their standard. But we know there's better there, you know. And like when you're going down, and I don't want to disrespect a team like Longford at all, you're going down to Longford, you think that's 3 points coming home in the bus, no bother, lads. But you know, I don't know if any supporter felt like that. Dundalk supporter felt like that today. You know, when this game was starting.
And I think that's what's happened. I think it's rubbing off on supporters, even going down. Like, fair play to everybody who's travels to games and went to Waterford last week as well. But there's no way they're going down on the bus. It's probably a long time since they went. I know obviously you haven't been away games, but it's probably a long time since anybody sat in front of the telly and watched Dundalk and we're definitely going to win here tonight. It's a good while. and it's such a downer. It's just as well we're halfway through the weekend and we're not kicking off the weekend tomorrow when it's Friday. It's just ruined your whole weekend.
I know, and that's the thing, Andrew, because it's consumed us as supporters. You know, like it starts on a Monday because you're kind of thinking, okay, what news are we going to hear this week? What's going to happen? And then we get to midweek and you're wondering, have we any injuries? I hope nobody's and we have to say that as well. You know, Vinny and the squad, the team have been very unfortunate. Like we've had a lot of injuries as well. I don't use that. I'm not using it as an excuse, but it's fact. You know, there has been a lot of injuries there as well. And you're kind of thinking, hopefully they can get through the train and there's no injuries. Then you get Thursday and you're like, oh God, who have we now? And we, we were at a stage where there were teams and we kind of say, no problem, 3 points. We'd have teams like Waterford. Like Waterford were always a team, especially travelling away. You would never know how it was going to go. You'd kind of be like, you were always kind of our kind of dodge team. You didn't know how it was going to go. But now it doesn't matter where the team sits with us. You know, and I'm again, like I repeat myself a little bit from my last podcast. Like I'm sad for our supporters and I'm sad for people because these are the things that we've been using as an escapism from, you know, COVID and pandemic. And it's nearly worse. You're nearly like, well, I might put on the 6-1 news to see something else, you know. And I'm not saying that flippantly at all, but I don't know what to say anymore about it. You know, it's frustrating. And I hope I'll say I hope there's work going on in the background that we're, you know, looking at contracts. I think that's a big thing now with all of us, that we want to know who's staying, who's going. You know, I think it's safe to say that there's players that we signed that just didn't fit in. They weren't, you know, and they may be very good players at different leagues and different levels, but they didn't fit in with us. And it just didn't work. And that's no disrespect to the players or to anyone. It just didn't work. And I think now we have to be better in our squad now for next season. I do think we'll stay up. I don't think we'll go down. I do think we'll stay up.
That's the positivity we're looking for, Jane. You said it. We didn't say it. You said it. So we're going to go with you. We're going to back you on that one.
Yeah, no, I do think we'll stay. I think we'll make hard work of it because we like to make hard work. You know, and you know, that's the adrenaline and that's the love story of being a Dundalk supporter. You know,
that's what sport is in a nutshell.
Yeah,
isn't it?
It's about these moments, you know, and we don't like to have to be at that age, but I think we will be. But I do think we will, because we know the character and the strength is there. It is there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely. Well, just when you mentioned next season, just anybody's familiar with Jane on Twitter or social media, you've recently, something that I didn't know had started before COVID, but you've recently reignited the Lily White Ladies. Can you tell us a little bit about that for anybody that's not on social media? Maybe? Yeah,
well, it was actually Erla Crilly came to me with the idea in February 2020, just post-COVID, or pre-COVID, sorry, everybody was, you know, and she'd said she had this idea about setting up a Lily White Ladies, you know, a supporters club for ladies of League of Ireland football and particularly the Dundalk Football Club. And I said, absolutely, very interesting in bringing women together, you know, because on a personal level, like I go to the home games with my dad, but like I would have travelled to away games of my own. I would have gone to a lot of away games of my own. So we got together just before the pandemic and we met up for a couple of meetings, and you know we were starting to get a good uptake, and you know different, and it's so interesting. You've different women come from different sides of the ground, and we were starting to get a bit of momentum. And then you know obviously COVID hit and everything shut down, and we tried to keep it going on social media, but it wasn't the same. You know, we were trying to keep the interaction going. So when the pandemic kind of the restrictions were starting to be lifted, you know, I was trying to organise maybe, you know, online meetings, and they didn't really take off because I know everybody's like, no, please don't put me on another Zoom. Please, like my life has been Zoom. Please don't make me go on. And I get that because I am that person too. But that didn't really work out. But we had our first then real life meeting. And we were able to reform our committee, and we were sitting down, we were chatting and just about ideas. And it's just about a place for women within with female supporters in Dundalk Football Club to come together, organise some events, give their views. Look, it's got better. It's 2021, but there kind of can still be that opinion of, what would you know?
Yeah.
And were you watching the game? And there can be still that perception that, women aren't passionate about football. And, it's one thing that I would commend to Dundalk Football Club as well, that they did take on a female supporter liaison officer, which is a great start in the direction of, bringing women and it's not that anybody wants, it's again, like I would have spoken before, it's not about special treatment, it's just about equality. And our opinion is as important. I think there's a general consensus of the performance tonight, regardless of your male or female. So it was just kind of doing that, when we're looking at going at the community side of things, organising events within the community and bringing people together. That's really what our main ethos is. We want to bring people together who love Dundalk Football Club, which is difficult at the moment, and League of Ireland. We want to bring those people together, with those women together, and you would find, that there is, as I said, there's still this kind of, oh, right, so do you know what that white thing is on the pitch? It's, so it is about working about that. And and we're starting off, and we seem to be getting a very good reception, online and stuff. And it's going to take us a while. Everything takes, and I'm very impatient. I'm like, why do we not have 5,000 people, 5,000 members? But that's just my personality. But and it will. It's still like the girls. Unfortunately, now we had a social night. With the girls met up last week in Burns pub to watch the game and outdoor. And we're going to do things like that. Maybe look at doing like some post-mortem coffee mornings, and maybe hopefully get to some away games and stuff like that. So that's kind of what we're looking at doing.
Yeah, just on it, do you think that not like a segregation, but do you think there's a lack of kind of seriousness maybe with lady support, female support? Do you think maybe they're not taken, not that they're not taken serious, that's probably the wrong way of putting it, but do you think maybe some of them aren't as vocal because they think, oh, well, men, the majority of supporters are men? Do you think that's an issue? Not just at Oriel, just in general, just in League of Ireland in general.
Well, I think it can be a sport issue in general, to be honest with you. I think, a lot of these sports, whether it's soccer, rugby, a lot of it can be seen as predominantly male supporters. So yeah, I do think there's a kind, as I said to you earlier, people would say, oh, like, what are you even talking about? Do you even know what's going on around you? She just come to Oriel for the crack and to eat the chips, or so yeah, no, I do think, but I think it's got better. I do think it's got better, and we've got like a lovely respect. I have to say this, like we've got a lovely reception from male supporters, male Dundalk supporters. A lot of guys getting in touch and going, "This is a great idea and it's well needed," because a lot of people would point out, like the facilities for everyone in Oriel, the facilities for women aren't great. So it's great to have a group of women coming in and representing that and trying to make things better for people, and that's what we want to do. And myself and yourself, Andrew, spoken. It's about the people coming up. It's about the little people coming up behind us.
Exactly.
It's about the little girls that are playing with local football teams and are attending the summer camps in Oriel, and the little girls around Ireland that are sporting Pats and Bows and Shamrock Rovers. And it's about them and showing them, you can still be here and there is a place for you in League of Ireland.
Yeah, I think it's something that I wasn't aware of until I seen it on Twitter in the last couple of weeks. I think it's an excellent kind of probably an outlet, I suppose, or even more of an advertising of it's not so much. I would hate for people to think it's coming across, oh, it's a ladies section, a ladies own. It's more of a just a look at, we come to the games where you could be partners of someone who's at the game, or even partners of the players, and you can get involved in any way, and whether it be fundraising or anything, pretty much in the local community.
Exactly. And like we even when you look at even Dundalk Football Club, like we've a lot of very strong males that are in the club, working with the club, volunteering with the club. We have a lot of strong women. The strength of women starts at the top, and we're lucky like that. And it's just that we have a place, and it's not that we want to isolate, and it's not we're not like, oh, we're only girls and we don't talk to the boys supporters. That's not how it operates. And obviously, I'm in the role with the SLO role as well. So I'm very conscious of that as well. And you don't want to alienate anyone. But it's just about, I'm conscious that there could be women at home watching games and they're thinking, no, well, I'd love to go up to a game, but I'd be a bit self-conscious going up on my own, so there is an outlet there for, and I'm not saying that there's not men that don't feel the same. And, obviously we don't want anybody feeling that social isolation. If anyone felt like that, we'd like them to come forward to us and have a chat.
Yeah, no, I think it's almost like I don't want to put the word workshop on it, but it's kind of like it's like a coming together of, I don't know what word you want to put on it, but like I suppose it is a female supporters club, but it's kind of an outlet. Yeah, it's hard to describe. I don't want to come across like me being a man trying to describe what you are doing, but I think we spoke during the week about this, and I think it's fantastic. It's something that I haven't seen in many clubs. I think Cork might have had it before, but I think it's excellent, and like I couldn't commend you more. I think it's a cracking idea, and I hope it takes off, and I hope people aren't kind of nervous about coming forward, or think that they might have to do something if they join. Like that's always a worry with committees, and
oh yeah, you're always like, what job are they
going to
job?
Yeah, and that's always a worry with it. So I think it's a. Have you got for we say projecting on to maybe 12 months time? Is there anything you'd like to reach, or is there any kind of goal you'd like to create, or just numbers wise even?
No, we didn't. We never had that kind of that was never the the angle we were going at, and see, like we watched the other, like example, the 1903 there that is starting off, and very supportive of that. And we, encourage people to get involved in that. And we're not that kind, we're not going in with the agenda of specific objectives. We have obviously our objectives that you saw, and it's involving women in the League of Ireland, and just bringing women together and feeling like they have a place to come and talk with the game. And you could have women that maybe don't necessarily want to attend Oriel Park and they watch the games at home, but they would love to maybe meet up for coffee and chat about it, and they'd like to get involved with more. We're very about it's about bringing the community together.
Yeah.
And I spoke about this on my last visit on your podcast, and we have this division in the community, and I know Brendan spoke about it the other night in his statement with the 1903. It's about, we have to come together now. It's about bringing us together and, establishing the group of supporters who love the club and want the best for the club.
Yeah, no, I think at this time of the season and the way the seasons have gone, I think it's a great way to kind of highlight it now and then kickstart it for next year. And I know obviously he's tried to do it before COVID, and COVID came in, and it's difficult to get anything going. We can't even put a proper football team together up in Oriel Park. But so we definitely wish you all the best. Just before we let you go, because we're not doing a massively long podcast tonight. Just from someone like yourself who's in Oriel Park, do you feel that they'll get out of this? Do you feel that if we're looking at relegation, do you think they will come out the right end of it?
Yeah. I don't think we will be relegated, Andrew. As I said, I think we'll make hard work of it. But I do believe that ethos and that strength is there. It's there in the core of the club, and it's there in the team. And that I think that's what's really frustrating us as supporters, because as I said, we know it's there. And I keep thinking the next game they're going to pull it out of the bag, and they're not. And
we all think that.
Yeah, this is podcast number 30. What are we, 38? Every week's the same.
But it's so frustrating. Like, I watch Andy Boyle. Like, just for an example, every week, and he comes off the pitch and he's heartbroken. Like, he's just heartbroken. He's out there and he's given 90 plus whatever minutes. And it's just like, I feel for some of the players. There's some of the players that we can't not say it anymore. They're not trying. For whatever reason, they're not there. You know, they're just not given what could give. You know, because my attitude is, we have experienced people in Royal Park, so you're not signing people that aren't able to play football.
Yeah.
That's, you know, you're not. So they're not trying. And then you have our kind of core players there. Like Pat Hoban, week in, week out, like, he can't get at anything. Nothing is being created. And it's just like, we're frustrated watching it, so I don't know how they must feel trying to go out.
Yeah,
you know.
I think as every week passes, I think it's just getting. I think they just want the season to end at this stage. I mean, I think they just take a playoff game tomorrow. If it was one of them scenarios, they could just play the playoff game tomorrow, get it done, and hopefully we can be able to kick on for next season.
And that's really sad for us to be saying as supporters.
It's shocking. Like, we're only into September, and we're talking like this since probably May, and it's madness. It really is. Like this. Unfortunately, it's nothing new, but it's really come to the fore now when we started to slip down the table. It's not that long ago we were in fifth, fourth. You know, we were looking at fourth, and we just slipped down the table so quickly. A week's a long time in football, but 3 months is eternity in this league. But it's just
week to week is long.
As a Dundalk supporter, it definitely is long. It's never been longer. But Jane, look, I really appreciate you coming on. It's great to highlight what you're doing, and we'll share it as much as we can. What's the best place for anybody to get involved with yourselves? Is it social media? Is that the best place to get in contact with us?
Yeah, you can kind of link in through our Facebook page, or we have a Twitter page. We have a Twitter as well, or you can get in contact with me directly, no problem at all, if you'd like some information about it. And we're delighted to, and anyone even the fields, maybe they've some ideas for us. We'd love to hear them. Any suggestions about how we can, bring people together, and because I do think this has a great potential to take off.
Yeah,
I think we're a bit unfortunate at the moment because everybody's just deflated. So it's really hard to get people to be interested in anything. It's kind of like, well, get me through the 90 minutes and I'll talk to you after that. So, but, Dundalk Football Club have been through bad days. We've been through really bad days. And the character of our club is we come out of it and we come back. And, we stay, and I say it all the time on Twitter. You see me saying it. You both follow me on social media. And I mean it. We have the best supporters in the world. And we just have to keep going. As exhausting as it is, we just have to keep going with them. And as you say, get through to the end of the season. Stay up. Hopefully get a cup final. And see what happens after that.
Exactly.
And look, you know me. I have to. I couldn't not finish on something positive.
That's what we need, a bit of positivity in the air. We'll have to take it from you, Jane. That's the only way we're going to get any positive tonight.
We have to.
Yeah, it's been great talking to you, and we'll share any of your details. We'll share it up on the website with the link for this podcast after tomorrow when the audio is up. So thanks very much for coming on. Great. It's been great to speak to you, and we'll definitely have you on again in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Jane.
Yeah. Thanks very much for having me. Thank you.
There's a comment
do you know what?
On every week. I agree.
Yeah, we actually had somebody with a bit of positivity, and I felt a bit weird. Do you know what we need to do? We need to add we had about 40% positivity added when Jane was on. I think we need to add about 80 to 90% negativity just to balance it all out.
Just to get that perfect gin and tonic going. Yeah.
Also, we need to double the ball. Put on the podcast. So there he is.
Look at this one.
I'm just going to go like that, so you don't even know him. I'm on the phone. The laptop's in getting repaired.
That's crystal clear phone. You've got a crystal clear picture there.
Oh yeah, shine.
What did
Maybe
you
it's the
think?
shine off my head, is it?
What's the
Jesus,
verdict?
just listening to Jane there. Cup finals, fucking hell.
It's a long way away, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Just listen to some of the things she having to say. Like, look, her she's sort of infectious or positivity, but I'm just immune to it now at the minute after that tonight. I don't know, like she said like we don't sign bad players, but when you sort of look at the recent signings, whoever they've come from, you're just saying like boys that have played like eight senior games, 15 minutes in games, like that's counted as an appearance. The keeper comes in, like Donald mentioned earlier, and he's played whatever it was, a handful of games.
Three.
He's played 3 games, like, and you're sort of pinning your hopes on him that the boys that are there at the minute aren't doing their job. Like, that's just crazy. When you look at the players that have left, it was someone put up a tweet the other day. It was like a question: see how many points have we picked up since Chris Shields has left? And it was like 4 points in 6 games or something like that. Something or 5 points in 6 games. I think maybe 4. But that's like how far have we fallen in such a short space of time is incredible. Just for me, like just looking at a player's perspective, like there's like the players aren't performing, they aren't playing. There's no fight. Like I think we've mentioned this all before. It's just so hard to watch when you take the European performances into account. I know we're missing a few players from then, and some have moved on. But like, look, you'd have to wonder what the motives were. Like, were they're on a big stage, they're on television, everybody's looking at them. There's a bit of hype around the place, bonuses, and then you're away to Longford on the Saturday evening. You're struggling, but like they haven't picked up a win since the first game of the season, and I look, they've been unlucky, like Stephen said a couple of weeks ago as well. But like when you're playing somebody that's rock bottom there, like they probably came into the game really fancying themselves. A team that hasn't won in how many games, fancying their chances against league champions from 2-3 years ago. You're just looking at it going, Jesus, how far have we fallen here? And it doesn't even look like it's hit rock bottom yet. It looks like it keeps dropping. Like Donald said earlier, every time you think it's not going to get any worse, the next game comes along, and you go, "Fuck, we weren't as bad last week." So it's doing like it's like you can laugh about it and that, but we're really in the
If you
fucking shit.
didn't laugh, you'd cry.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it's one of them, isn't it?
What we
Yeah.
I think it was the Drogheda game was the worst feeling I think I've had after a football match in forever. But I laughed so much at the messages that came in from people because we were all in the shit together and we were all just trying to find something to laugh at.
It's the same tonight. If you look at some of the comments, Barry McKee was having a crack out of it with some of them comments.
Yeah, Steph, if you had to,
thanks.
if you could, I know that there's so many things wrong, and there's so many things that you can point a finger at and say that's the biggest reason. But what do you think is the biggest reason that we're in the position that we're in now? And remember, we want to go to
Where do you start?
Look, it's hard to know because we're on the outside looking in. We don't know what's going. Like, you're hearing different stories about even something simple like the assistant managers thing, right? Just as a little thing. So basically, if you're involved in a training session and the group is split into 2, or you've even 2 lines, like a manager can't control the whole thing. So I've been hearing different stories about like Finney trying to control this section, boys taking the piss and whatever else. And like, I know it's all stories, but like Liam Burns has his own job to do. He's still coming in on the line, helping out when he can. Like it's like the training must be all off. The players must be just like even in training, like when you look at Andy Boyle there, you just look at Andy Boyle and go like, fuck me, he's like a broken man there. Like the levels he's come from, even previously with Dundalk, and he's come back and he's probably thinking, he's going to be involved in title run-ins. He was obviously involved in Europe and stuff like that, but like just looking at him, the stature like him as a player, and he's involved in this now, like he must be looking around going, what the hell's going on here? Like and he's under contract for next year, which is probably even worse.
God love him. God love him.
You know, when like Jane mentioned it, and I've heard a lot of people mention about how he looks heartbroken when like at what's going on, and I'm like, he's heartbroken because he's the only fucker that's left at the end of this. He has to pick up all of these pieces by himself.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
he lives and breathes the club, doesn't he?
Yeah, like we're replacing like Chris Shields with another keeper basically. Like that's all we've signed, isn't it? Like so, when you're losing the likes of him, and then even like the effect of McElhenney moving on, basically one of your best players moving to one of your, like I will call them rivals. Like they're in the same league as us. They're looking to improve. It's going to strengthen them. It's going to weaken us. Similar to like talk of Richie Towell coming back to Dundalk, and I was like, well, that's a bit airy fairy for us. And he goes to Rovers. He might be setting the world alight at the minute, but we all know how good he is and what he can bring to a team. Like I'd say he's probably looking at it going, Jesus, look at Dundalk now, like counting his blessings he didn't sort of come to Dundalk, because I heard it was close, like him signing back, but like when you look at the likes of that, do you know what? I don't know. The recruitment's all wrong for a start. Like we called it out, even during the President's Cup, we called it out, going a massive gamble. Like what we should be signing, young players, getting them under 2 or 3 year deals, like we were doing previously. Like say Jamie McGrath, that we brought in when he was a hot prospect from Pats. We pulled him in, tied him into like a couple of years deal. Now look, I don't know if we got anything from him or what we got from, or his contract ran out or whatever, but like that's, you're signing players that have value instead of signing so-called internationals on massive wages for 1 year, that at the end of the year, if they don't sign back with you, like what have you got? Like you're not in the show for it at the end of the year. And what, they've missed a couple of league games because they've been away on international duty. So we haven't checked up on that either as a club. Like, and even some of the internationals, like have any of them impressed you? Like Sam Stanton has probably been the pick of them. Do you know? Yeah. I heard good reports about him from the start, and he sort of, you could see, we sort of said, look, he might be a yard off it at the minute. The more games he got, he just even been thrown in at left full there. Like he was, the likes of him, you're gonna, he's probably going, what's going on here? He's probably thinking this is a nightmare he's gonna wake up from soon. Like, and then like the other players we signed, you know, going off reputations or something. Nobody knows who signed them. People saying Mitchelton hasn't signed anybody. People saying the chairman. Like we're all sort of guessing, and like from the top down to the bottom, everything just seems to be wrong in my eyes.
And the danger is when you talk about signing, like what we should have done and signed the best young players, because of the season Dundalk have now had. If they even stay up, what young players are going to want to come to Oriel Park next season? You know, when you consider the shit show that's gone on, you know, are you going to go looking in the first division then for players to come up and try, well, come on up to us, so we're in, you know, we might be second bottom, but we're still in the Premier Division. Like, that's not a great selling point either. And it's going to have a domino effect for a couple of seasons unless something drastic changes. But what that would be, like, it's madness. And, you know, and when you consider people that didn't sign and probably thought they weren't good enough for Oriel Park, Like, it's well documented. I just seen him, Darren Meenan there, Talbot, the goalkeeper, was well documented. He was kind of not off, but well, he was offered to Dundalk early in the season, and the lads didn't fancy him. The Italian boys didn't fancy him on loan for the season. I mean, he's in the Ireland squad a couple of weeks ago. You know, like, it's just the foresight was frightening. But anyway, what did you think of the game? Did you watch it?
Don't want to comment on the game. I'm already in a rage.
There's nothing even, like, I don't even know what you take from the match. I mean, like
someone mentioned in the comments somewhere, and it's like it will show you. It shows you just how much of a disaster everything is. Haven't even mentioned the referee yet.
Yeah.
Like the referee sent it off.
We didn't even mention Hans. Like, Hans sending off. I don't think I'm being hard. I thought it was madness.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't know what happened there. I don't know if he just said, "Oh, I'll give another one." Might as well. Like, it was crazy. And then he didn't give. Like, clearly he's probably 10 yards too close to the halfway line to get a sending off. But if he's a little bit short, he probably gets the red card as well.
Yeah, if he sent off Hand 2 minutes before that, you're like,
yeah.
I was fully expecting the red to come out, whether it's justified or not. I'm like, he is dying to level this up now.
Yeah. They should have let everybody sent off. I don't think he can play with 7. So
we should have Neil Warnock
abandoned. Yeah.
We should have tried to get a load of players sent off.
And then the goal advantage. Like, what's the goal difference between us and Longford?
It's more than the points anyway.
Yeah,
it's shocking.
Like, it's a blessing they're so far off the pace. If they had picked up a couple of results, like the late goals, like you mentioned already, Gally, like, do you know, like, in a squad when you're losing and like you're just in a rut, like, you're looking over your shoulder there. We thought we were going to start looking up. Where can we move up the table? You know, we picked up a few results when Vinny came in, but it was like a new manager's bounce, and then it was just bad news story after bad news story, bad performances. Then the results started going then as well. Like, they were the last thing to go, and now, like, you're looking around going, like, where are we going to get our next draw from? Never mind the win.
Yeah,
we were way to Sligo, way to Finn Harps in the cup as well. Like, do you know, it's not looking too positive.
There's none of it you can even sit here and go, well, we'll pick up points here, or we'll you know, like, nobody fears us. That's what's happening. Like, nobody fears us whatsoever. There's not a team in Ireland, including Leinster League, that would fear playing that team at the minute. And that's been harsh on Leinster League. That's been disrespectful. Like, Border Legion stuff, you pumping the midfield in Border Legion will give them boys a game. It's playing sweet.
If the boys had been up in Glenmuir the other night, Vinny might have signed me back. You know what I mean?
It was a masterclass, wasn't it?
But look, we're struggling. We're struggling for injuries and everything. But the squad just looks demoralised. But look, I just don't think that they're playing for Vinny either. I heard there was a bit of an upset after the match. People having to go each other after the Waterford game, and rightly so. Like, players need to be showing a bit of passion and a bit of fight in them. Like, it looks like they've just given up the ghost, but maybe if they start bringing that onto the pitch, you know, it's easy calling out people in the dressing room, but look, when you're on the pitch, you have to do your own business, and there's just been so many that's been so poor or just not good enough.
There was a comment there from Frank. I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, boys. I think it was Frank Carroll earlier on. I don't have it here. He mentioned, would it be possible? I think he started. It was a mad question to ask that the boys just aren't playing for Vinny. It's just not the dynamics of it just doesn't work, and they just can't get motivated by him. Do you think that would be a possibility? Do you think it's the fact that maybe no contract next year, they don't really fancy it at all? There we go. That one.
Yeah. Look, what motivation are they going to have? I know, like, it's just a personal pride thing as well. You know, if you're playing in the team, but if you have a manager there that you don't respect, like, I know this is a unique situation because I don't think the board will actually get rid of Vinny, because I think he's getting paid bonuses. Is he win bonuses? We don't know. Like, it's only hearsay as well, but look, I don't think they'll get rid of him because he was the easy option he knew the club before, and like some of the stories that went before, I just thought there was no way back from his perspective or from the players' perspective. I know there was a lot of players had gone, but a few players that was still currently in the squad and big senior players still had major issues with him, and even when he was gone, and sort of stories coming back of him talking about the club. Do you know that sort of way? Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't understand how, like, some of the senior players aren't being like, it wasn't like a clean slate was being drawn, and I don't know if you're involved in that squad and some of the senior players are like telling you what happened previously, like straight away he was going to be on the back foot. I know it sort of had a bit of an upturn, and the buzz of Europe sort of got us through a couple of weeks, but everything just seems to be falling apart. That was sort of the fear. Like, once Europe went, the buzz of it, being in front of the crowds, and everyone talking about you, sort of making this bit of a run in Europe. Then when all that went away, you were just looking around going, hopefully, their sole focus can be on the league, and when the FAI Cup games comes around, there'll be a bit of a buzz about that as well, if you can get through a few rounds and start looking at quarterfinals and semi-finals. Like, we've gotten to the quarterfinal, you're sort of thinking there might be like the cup run, use that as a bit of a momentum to get to use in the league, but everything just seems like it just seems like everyone's just given up already. And Gally, you said, look, if the players were given the option to play next Friday in the playoff against one of the first division teams, they'd probably take it at the minute and just hope for the best. Like, there's still some people trying to be positive about it, but when you see what's in front of you, like, you're just going, you don't hold much hope.
Yeah.
The one thing I would say about, not that I don't want to be the one that's trying to be positive when there's not very much to be positive about, but when we look at the cup games from last season, that we were in brutal form in the league and then went and beat Bows in Dalymount in the semi-final and then beat Rovers in the final. Like, I don't think I think what we saw in the European games and last season is, not going to say when the boys, when they want to put in a performance, they can put in a performance, but they are definitely capable of winning the big game. This is, again, I don't actually have straws to literally clutch at, but away to Finn Harps, like, the weird thing too is, like, I wouldn't even be surprised if they won that in the cup, and then you're into the semi-final and there's a good few teams gone already, but then at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if they went into the semi-final with Finn Harps and lost 3-0. Like, we're just at that stage, but that's the only thing that I'm hanging on to. Like, maybe it is a case now where you're like, right, we'll just resign ourselves that we're in the playoff. We have to prepare for the fucking playoff. Oh, just saying that out loud. We have to prepare for the relegation playoff. And we have a couple of cup games to play for. And can they get up for those games? Can we get players fit for those games? Because we lost 2 more players today, I think, didn't? Or, well, I don't know if it was today, but before today's game. Like, I don't know. I don't know what. Darn it, the whiskey doesn't help at all.
If you base it off tonight, like, if you were to base anything off tonight's performance, we won't get anywhere. Like, you won't beat anybody. Like, it's like, no. And like you say, Longford probably would be, like, Stephen Ma was on earlier on. I think Kieran Buck mentioned as well. That team is practically first division. They've like, even Kieran Burke was saying, if that team got relegated, which they probably will, mathematically, they probably definitely will. They will go. They would
every week. They're not getting very many more points.
They'll probably keep the same team and bounce right back up. But that's the level. So if we're not beating the likes of Longford, there's not that much of a difference between Longford and maybe the top 3 in the first division. So that's what we're going to be playing against. Like, if you base it off tonight, like, you've gone 30 minutes with 10, you've hand sent off a couple of minutes to go, but there was nothing just in it. It was, Andy Boyles had a chance. We've created a few chances in the first half. Patchings had decent displays. Dunbigan's done all right, but everybody's just done all right. It's not been. It just seems to be. I can't put my finger on what it is, but definitely Chris Shields. That's what I think it is.
Even when you're saying like last season, you were sort of going into the Bulls game and you were sort of thinking, even with the bad run, you were sort of saying they've a good chance here. Like, you're looking at a goalkeeper. You still have like Rodgers and goals. You still have your Gannon. You still have. Do you know what I'm sort of saying? Like, whereas now you're looking around going, hopefully he can like come out of some form with something. Like, we had proven players like McMillan up top, McElhenney, Shields. Like, you had all these players that are league winners, cup winners, double winners. Now you're looking around going, there's a bare bones there of players that have been there and done it. Like, but like you're sort of relying on about 40-50% of the starting team like massively overperforming themselves. Like, Finn Harps away is so tricky, like so tough. It's really like bar Bowes, maybe Pats. I don't know. Like, you might have got a harder draw away, would you have? Like, Finn Harps is an off. I know we've good record there up until recently, but like I'd always like when I see Finn Harps away, I always get a wee shiver. Like, don't know why.
Because it's freezing cold.
It's extreme.
The cold weather up there. No cover up there. Maybe it was the playoff loss up there a couple of years ago, a couple of decades ago now in this instance. But look, that's what, like, it's you're trying to do it with half the team you had back then. Even Garland, like, massive miss at the back.
Yeah.
Like you've properly talked me out of it. The season's over.
Yeah.
And just see comments there. Like, another comment, just Barry McKeever again. Like, just a simple comment, just not good enough, and that's probably what it is. It probably just boils down to that at the end of the day. Like, if you're ever going to be showing up on a night of football, it's tonight. Like, you can't really get any. Well, it'd be different if you come out and absolutely battered Longford off the field, but they haven't, and you can't really come any lower than playing like that against the bottom team. Like, don't get me wrong, Margie was only a couple of weeks ago, and he was adamant that Longford are better than what the league was showing. So they were probably due to do this to someone, but of course it has to be Dundalk. They haven't done it to anybody else. So
no, the thing is, though,
it's crazy.
Like, tonight's game, it should have been over in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, if they had 2 or 3 great chances inside of 15 minutes to at least get one, and once they get one, they like, Jesus Christ, they should be able to at least hold out or get another one on the counter attack late in the game or something like that. Like, it's just,
it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like you said at the start, it never looked like, I don't know if he said this off air or on there, but even when they went down to 10 men, it never looked like we were going to do anything. It just
made
never.
No difference.
Nothing. Longford didn't look any less of a team. They didn't look out of shape. They didn't look like they had one less player on the park. It's just such a lackluster, doesn't even cover it. Just brutal. I said diabolical at the start, and that's probably the easiest way to sum it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, diabolical is a good word to use, all right.
I'm going to put that in a mug. I'll never get that in a mug. I'll have to put on something else. Pencil case.
Just get the jersey and just get diabolical across the back. Diabolical
21 on the back. Yeah.
Diabolical.
Oh, lads, it's a fair play to anybody shouting in man in the match for picking someone out. It's a credit to you.
There's some neck. They can all split a pizza between them.
Darren Newman got his mug. Good man, Darren.
I can't see the comments on the phone. I'm lost.
It's just look.
You don't want to see
nothing else. I don't know what else we have to say. Like, there's nothing really to say. Like, it's just. I'm sure Pingu would go to town on certain people if he was on, but yeah, look, it's just a bad Saturday night. It's like our version of SNL. It's just comedy on a Saturday night. That's what we're providing now when these games are on down the Midlands.
Saturday night loss.
I think we'll leave it there, lads, will we? I'm sure everybody commented this is half cut. and they've just had enough. I feel sorry for the boys on the way home on the bus.
Yeah.
Going from same, it looks like the same. I think it was Dan Shields. Look at the same boys who went to VT's Arm, same boys who went to Waterford. You know, it's just.
Yeah, big shout out to anybody that went and with the signs and the
Absolutely.
flares and everything. It looked
Legends. Absolutely.
great. And made them cracking amount of noise in fucking desperate circumstances. And also a big shout out to the Longford fan that was sitting underneath the microphone that was shouting abuse at the referee the whole night. That the microphone picked up absolutely crystal clearly all night. That was amazing.
Can we get him the pizza now? Send it down. Surely Buck knows him. Maybe it was here on Buck.
We send it down. Have we only had one? Have we only had one person in for the man of the match? Have we one person put in a name?
Yeah, I saw one.
Because Darren Meanings raised a good point there. If we give Brona Bootman the pizza, because she's the only one that actually put in the man of the match, so maybe we could give.
I was more concentrated on Darren Meanings' other comment of finishing the whiskey. So.
I think the night at there we could possibly give Brona Bootman just for commenting in, not that we agree with the selection.
Yeah, because I think Pinky would probably shoot all of us. So
it's just for the comment.
Darren Meaning finally got his mug for a mug. He met him the other day.
That's down with the mug. We think we'll give it a one-off, a non-exceptional performance, but we'll give Brona Bootman the pizza there from Tony's Pizzeria. So Brona, the way it works is you contact Tony's and just let them know that you got the pizza from ourselves. I don't know how Lady delivers them. Steph, do you know? I don't know if she get it tonight, but it's there anyway. Well on board.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, she'll have to ring up and find that off then.
Well, that's ended on a positive note.
Making someone's life better.
Yeah, with a pizza. Yeah.
Yeah. Right, man.
Lads, I'd love to say it's been a pleasure. I enjoyed the crack, but it's getting tough. It's getting tough. Really is. I'd say that's got to be up there with a record number of comments tonight. So thanks for everybody who's commenting in, and it's hard. We did debate at the start of the year with a Saturday night podcast would work if we did actually go, but Dundalk have provided ample comedy for us for Saturday night matches, so they kind of write themselves. So we appreciate that. When are we up next, lads? What have we got to look forward to next week? When are we on? Are we
I don't think I'm ever doing this podcast ever again. This wasn't my gig. I got roped into this, and it's been a fucking disaster. My drinking's gone through the roof.
Ever since we took you on board, the results and the performances were just.
So we have Sligo on Tuesday.
I have to fucking write a blog after this as well. I think I have to live through this twice.
You have to relive the nightmare with a hangover. Before
we go, I think we'll quickly take a couple of predictions for Sligo Tuesday night away. Go on, Dawn. Just a mouthful of whiskey there. Give us a prediction.
Is this going to be the first ever?
I still can't pick. I can't predict that they're going to lose. So 1-1.
Jesus.
Nah. Go on, Steph.
2-0 Sligo.
Yeah, I think I want to go 1-0 to Sligo. That's the first time Chris Clark and Dean Harrison are going to blow the fuse when they come back and listen to this back tomorrow. 2 of the 3 of us have picked an away defeat from Dog.
The blowing's the only one that hasn't picked.
Barry McKeever's got shouted tonight. 10-0 Sligo. Shout of the night.
Chris would have went for. I'll take 92nd minute own goal off the goalkeeper.
In off the arse.
That was offside. A handball in the build-up. But look,
yeah.
Aerosmith would have went 2-0 Dundalk, open to them.
Yeah. Open to them. So that's it. We're 2 defeats. Did you go for a draw? Thanks, yeah.
I did. I have had several whiskies.
I don't think we haven't had a week where nobody picked a win yet, have we? So this is probably a first. That just shows you what tonight has done to everybody.
Demoralised.
Yeah. Steph, because so you come on late, we'll give you the end of it.
No.
Do you want to go for it?
No, I can't. Can't even do it after that performance, man. Just can't. Not in me.
We just
We'll
have
just
nothing.
end
We're
with
just gonna.
no.
I think Darren Meenan just summed it up there with that last minute. Head's gone.
Head loss.